Hey everybody, it's Party Elite, and today we're diving right into the Southeast Asia Pack DLC for Planet Zoo. I am extremely excited to get back to our old kind of aquatic DLC Showcase Zoo and add on to this. I figured we'd do that because that way we can just get right into the animals. We don't have to put down all those essential, like vets and staff rooms and all that kind of stuff. We can just get right into the animals. So over the next handful of days, we're going to be adding all of the new animals from the Southeast Asia pack, and I'm extremely excited for this because there are some very interesting animals in the pack. We're starting actually with one that I didn't even know existed until this DLC was kind of announced and revealed and all that kind of stuff. So really pumped for today. Now, I just want to mention before we get into it, if you're interested in picking the DLC up, you can do so at the link I've included in the description down below. It is also included in the pinned comment down below. And if you buy it there, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. So if you're interested in supporting the channel, I humbly request you maybe consider buying through that link. Obviously not an obligation, just thought I'd mention it right off the bat. Now, let's get into this. The animal that we're adding today is the Babirusa. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I am legitimately unfamiliar with this animal. I didn't know it was a thing. But what's really exciting about that for me especially is I'm able to explore something new, I'm able to learn something new, and boy oh boy, man, did I do some learning. Okay, so this animal is almost exclusively found in Indonesia in like specific islands, and among those islands there are a bunch of ethnic groups, and among those ethnic groups there is a creation myth among at least some of the Sulawesi ethnic groups, I should specify. There is this creation myth about how the Earth existed on the back of a Babirusa or a Babirusa, and then eventually there was an earthquake when it had to scratch an itch, and it decided to scratch its itch against a palm tree, and that's sort of like the origin story. I guess that's where life came from. Like the earthquake began life. I tried so hard to find more details about this origin myth, about this creation myth, about this creation story, and I couldn't find too much detail, and that's what fascinated me even more, that we only know so much. So I was kind of inspired by that, and I thought, why don't we have this like elevated mound kind of a thing that feels like it is the world on the back of an animal, so we've got the slopes on the side, and it kind of falls off sharply, so it's the edge of the earth, as it were, so to speak. And so that's kind of the core inspiration of all the terraforming that we're doing right now, adding these waterfalls as well to really make it feel like the edge of the earth as kind of water, falls off the edge of it, so to speak. But as we're doing that, I just want to mention as well that one of the reasons I found this this origin myth to be so fascinating isn't only because I find them all to be fascinating, but also because of the overlap. So while this isn't what's referred to as an earth diver myth, there are a lot of earth diver myths that end up with the earth on the back of an animal. A very common example, actually, that will be familiar to some at least, is among the indigenous North American tribes, where sand, and again, I'm sure there are like variants of it, and also I apologize if I've got like one version and you know a different one, but sand was retrieved and put on the back of a turtle, and that turtle and the sand upon its back eventually grew massive. It grew and grew and grew, and it became so massive, and ultimately this turtle was holding earth on its back. This is where the term Turtle Island comes from. Now again, the story is a little bit different between like the Ojibwe and the Haudenosaunee people. I'm sure there are even more versions, so it's definitely worth looking up. If you just kind of Google Turtle Island folklore, you'll get a lot of answers and a lot of variations. So if you're not familiar with the story, it's actually quite interesting. And again, it's the earth on an animal's back. But that might seem a little geographically irrelevant. It's so far away, like, they just happened to come across similar concepts, I suppose you could say that. But there's another one that's a bit more geographically close, and that is the tie-in to, I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but it's the tie-in to Vra, which is one of the avatars of the Hindu god Vishnu, who appeared as a boar to rescue the earth from drowning. And he carried it, there are a couple of depictions, either he carried it on his back or using his tusks back to the surface, and that's one of the potential like creation myths. And even there is a lot of variety. I've heard quite a few Hindu creation myths as well, so I'm sure this is one of many. And that just fascinated me so much. the connection to the Hindu tie-in to me makes geographical sense. Again, if you've watched some of my other videos, whether it's with regards to history or Planet Zoo episodes where I get into some history, there was a lot of cultural spread from the Indian subcontinent to Southeast Asia, and it's been going on for millennia. Sorry, English is failing me here. I'm just so excited to share all this stuff. But yeah, so it had been going on for millennia. So it wouldn't surprise me if in a pre-Hindu state, like when it was like Vedism and not Hinduism, if there was a transfer of information and it resulted in this, or again, despite the proximity, the geographical proximity, it's very possible that the similar ideas and similar visuals came to the minds of various people. I find this stuff super cool. Whichever way it worked out, whichever way it ended up being so similar, I just find it so fascinating. And it's part of what got me so excited about starting over here with not only an animal that I knew nothing about, but also an origin story or a creation myth that I didn't know up until now. But then immediately I was like, well, this is familiar. A really cool kind of a path to go down for me as somebody who's always so fascinated by this stuff. But that's not the only thing that we're being inspired by today, and I'm actually going to be touching on the next thing as we get into it, which should actually be shortly. I'm just adjusting the bridge over here. I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted this bridge to work out, but I knew generally what I wanted this space to feel like or to be like. I wanted it to feel like you're standing on a miniaturized version, or I guess above a miniaturized version of the Earth, and you're able to see the curvature of it and how it kind of falls off. Interestingly, actually, there are depictions of the Earth. You'll find, I don't know how accurate this is, but you'll find a lot of seafaring ancient cultures have always had a round or rounded Earth, even in ancient times. Forever we've known that the Earth is round, depending on who you're asking. So I just thought that was interesting as well. Anyway, so yeah, the idea is you can kind of see the curvature of the Earth, and then it kind of falls off sharply on the ends, and so you kind of feel like you're on the entirety of the Earth, trying to create that isolated vibe and whatnot. But more on that in a bit when we add the vegetation, primarily palm trees so far, to kind of tie into that scratching the itch against a palm tree story, which I absolutely love. It's so it just touches on something which is absolutely just beautiful. I love it. But moving on from that, we're actually touching on another. This is not really a creation myth or an origin story per se, but you'll see how the two threads connect. So this is now the Zoopedia, which I read shortly after this time lapse. Zoopedia mentions that we are looking at the North Sulawesi Babirusa. I keep forgetting the name of the animal. I'm sorry, it's new to me. and so I took a bit of a step. I took some liberty there, and I wanted to be inspired by the Sulawesi people as a whole. And so I was just kind of looking at references among Sulawesi ethnic groups and whatnot. And there are what you're seeing right now is a structure I'm building to kind of build a covering for the bridge, but it is inspired by the Torajan people. Again, I apologize if I'm butchering any of these, and if you know better, then feel free to correct me. But they have these buildings known as tongkonen, which are important throughout life. It's sort of like you could think of them like a hub of family. It's a very central building from a social and cultural perspective, from my reading and from my understanding of it. Again, this is all new to me, and I was very, very excited to be learning so much. So I apologize if sources will differ when it comes to these kinds of things. So based on the sources I looked at, that's my understanding. And the thing that really kind of pulled me to it was the inspiration for its shape. As you can imagine, being on an island, you tend to have connections to anything that will allow you to harness everything around you. I'm talking about the seas, obviously. You tend to be seafaring peoples. You tend to have a lot of boat imagery and stuff in your folklore and whatnot, and such is true for the Torajan people. The boat shape that I'm inspired by here, and that these buildings that they kind of use to inspire and inform their shape, that boat is supposedly what was used, or those boats were supposedly what was used by the ancestors of these people to descend from the heavens. So using these ships, they came from the heavens down to our, I guess, mortal plane, or to the earth, or whatever you would call it. And again, that shape inspired the buildings, and I am inspired here by those buildings that were inspired by the ships. I just want to make very clear where, like, I drew my inspiration from and where the actual building draws its inspiration from. But yeah, that's kind of a breakdown of like all the little kind of cultural tidbit and folklore tidbits that have inspired this particular build. Again, I don't always go culture heavy. I mean, I'll be honest. It may be more often than not. Some of you who've been watching this channel will be better able to assess that. Sometimes I'm inspired by other things, like the Cave of Wonders, for example, or what have you. But here I couldn't help myself, because I was looking up the animal, and I was just like, I don't recognize this thing. I don't recognize the name, the visual. It may be familiar, but like it's an animal with, well, it's very distinct. So even then I was just like, I'm just not sure. This doesn't seem familiar. So I started doing digging, and one of the things I love to do is when an animal is unique to a certain region, I love to look into its folklore. I love to see how it ties in, because it tends to work out that way, as it did here. And then I fell in love with everything I was reading, and I was like, I need to share this. I need to talk about this. I need to share this. You'll notice, by the way, we did for the cassowaries at Elite Zoo South in our franchise mode zoo playthrough. We had a very similar roof shape, and I struggled with it quite a bit, and I'm actually a lot happier with how it is here. So I wonder if I'll go back and kind of adjust what we did back there, but I feel like I'm finally, after having done it like 2 times, 3 times now maybe, I think I'm finally growing comfortable with the shape of that, like kind of the tipping forward kind of a shape. The thing is, the thatch roof pieces, the right pieces don't exist to cover it in thatching, so I end up using bamboo over here. I don't know how accurate that is, and you'll have to forgive my potential inaccuracy there, but I can only, my hands are kind of tied, obviously, with how many pieces there are, what pieces are available, and that's nothing, obviously, just to be clear, that's nothing against the game. You cannot literally make every piece in the world and include it in the game, but I have to make do with what I have access to, obviously. The other thing to mention is, oh yeah, I'm just kind of like straightening up the path over here. I didn't quite like how it lined up previously. And I think this works a little bit better. It's a very marginal difference, but I can be very particular about that. But yeah, the other thing to mention as well, that I forgot to mention earlier, is that stilts are extremely common just on this island. Houses on stilts and buildings on stilts. There's some very, very beautiful things that I'm hoping to be inspired by, and I'm hoping I'll be able to use as inspiration rather moving forward as well. But that's another reason why I wanted to have this bridge as opposed to just like a flat kind of on the ground kind of a thing and a regular fencing or what have you. I wanted it to be lifted up. I wanted it to be over the water. I wanted it to have stilts because they're such common elements of the architecture on this island and the islands around as well. I mean, again, like I was saying earlier, you will find some common strands among people who have what's the word I'm looking for? Like developed, I guess, around certain types of geographies. That's one of the key elements in how we interact with our space, right? Is like how we literally build on it. So just thought I'd get that in there as well. And you can see over here, I'm just kind of like looking, hoping that one of these will work. And it's like, it's so close, but it's not steep enough. And yes, the argument could be made is like, well, just, change the how steep it is. It's like, well, no, but then it doesn't look right. Then it doesn't look like the references. And that it being so steep is part of what makes it so interesting. So anyway, I end up going in with the bamboo pieces. I really wish you could rotate those building pieces, the gridlock pieces. I really wish you could rotate them on all angles. That's one huge change that would, oh man, it would really make those pieces so much more versatile. I would love to see that at one point. Just to be able to rotate them all all axes. I would have actually been able to make that work with the thatching if that was possible here. And it's moments like that that make me go, here, yep, I wish I wish yet again that this worked the way I would like it to. But hey, one day, perhaps one day. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and close these off. I'll be honest, this wasn't my most efficient approach in some cases. Like for example, the support structures for the stilts, I did not do that most efficiently. I kind of had to go back 2 or 3 times and go like copy paste over and over again. Same thing with the bamboo and like the end on the other side. So my apologies for that. It was I will be honest, there were some like unexpected twists and turns in the production of this space. So and there was also a lot of uncertainty going in. Well, rather no, there was a certainty. I was certain that I'm not going to be able to do certain parts. And I knew I was gonna have to figure out how to do them, so that's why I kind of went like piecemeal in a couple spaces. Now we're gonna dive into the vegetation to kind of like cap the space off. Primarily focusing on palm trees. Funnily enough, there are some enrichment items that are trees as well, but none of them are palm trees, which is unfortunate. We'll get into that later. But yeah, primarily putting down some palm trees, putting down some bamboo and stuff as well, and really wanting to create a dense outer ring and make it feel like it is, yeah, like I was saying earlier, the edge of the earth, and there's nothing beyond it. Using the trees also from our little South America section right next to us over here, we're going to use them as well a little bit, just outside the bounds of this enclosure to further amplify that feeling of that, like kind of like that depth, I guess. And then on the other side, as we add more animals, I'm sure we'll get the opportunity to do that. Now, one thing I learned after the DLC is that I'm actually adding a few too many plants over here. Not enough to upset the animal, but it is more than they like, it's more than they're comfortable with, so I might go back in and adjust that at a later date. But obviously at the time while putting these down, I was not aware of that. But we'll take a look at that maybe at a later point in time if we want to come back and work on this enclosure a little bit. But yeah, adding some more bamboos over here, just like bamboo pieces over here, sorry, to just again close off the bottom and make it feel a bit more like natural, I guess. Very unnatural space obviously in terms of the mound out of nowhere, but just to give a better transition. And here you can see adding a bit more density. We'll do a slower tour around. I hope you enjoyed this time lapse, but that is it for the time lapse. We're going to head back into regular speed and actually add the animals, read about the animals, and play around with the animals. Folks, I hope you had a good time. Time for regular speed. Alright, folks, we are back from the time lapse, and I gotta say, that was a lot of fun for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Honestly, discovering a whole new animal that I just never knew existed was definitely an adventure, and just all the prep work I was able to do here, all the research and stuff into peoples, into their mythologies, into their, architecture and all that kind of stuff. It's always a fun time for me, and I also enjoy sharing all that stuff. So that was a lot of fun for me. And again, like I said, I do hope you enjoyed it as well. I'm also quite pleased with the roof over here. This is not the first time we've attempted this shape for a roof. And it's interesting to see its relevance to so many cultures, so many, especially seafaring cultures. But I do feel like this is the most successful we've executed one with this, like this shape on the end is always a bit of a challenge because the pieces don't quite exist to make the thatched roof work so well, I would say. But yeah, I feel like this is looking, pretty intense, pretty good. I'm very pleased with this actually overall. But why don't we go ahead and get the animal in now and see how they behave, see how they like the space, and see how our guests like the space as well. I'm hoping that the animal is able to, I keep calling it the animal, the Babirusa, I believe is its name. Again, completely new to me, right? So I apologize for pronouncing its name wrong and stuff. But I'm hoping that it's able to cross over here, and I'm hoping our staff is able to do the same to bring food and stuff wherever necessary. Again, we haven't put any of that stuff down. We'll be doing that in real time. So why don't we go ahead and well, the first order of business actually is not to get the animal in, but again, if you've seen the timestamps down below, I'm sure I've divided this into sections. The first thing we're going to do post-time-lapse is take a look at the animal. I mean, again, I looked at this only briefly to get an understanding of what kind of a space we'd have to maybe make for it, but I'm really excited to actually read through the entire Zoopedia entry over here. Again, like, I'm not just saying this. I've never heard of this animal. I've never seen it. I've never heard of it. This is just absolutely wild to me. It's some of the moments where Planet Zoo is at like my all-time favorite is, as I've said before in my like franchise mode Let's Plays, when I'm learning something new. So this is the Babirusa, the Babirusa celebensis, I guess. They are vulnerable. Less than 10,000 in the wild. I kind of find it really funny that the number is so precise. 9999. It's like, how do we know? That's a very precise number. Like, you'd expect that to be rounded, but whatever. It is what it is. The North Sulawesi babirusa is a species of pig native to the Sulawesi island of Indonesia and several small surrounding islands. The North Sulawesi babirusa is mostly hairless with gray skin. Male babirusas have 4 large tusks that curl back towards their skull. The North Sulawesi babirusa has a head-body length of 34 inches to 44 inches, a tail length of 11.6 to 12.8 inches, and a shoulder height of 23.2 inches to 26.4 inches. Male babirusas weigh between 154 pounds and 220 pounds, and female babirusas weigh between 99 and 176 pounds. Interesting. That's a fairly large gap in weight differences. The babirusa is a vulnerable species due to the overhunting for its meat, as well as habitat loss. They are also often attacked and killed by domestic and feral dogs. Babirusas are a protected species in Indonesia, but continue to be at risk in spite of this. Okay, very well. Not super in-depth. Like, this feels like one of the shorter paragraphs we've seen. That's not necessarily accurate, but it just feels like a lot of numbers in here. A lot of focus on numbers. But let's take a look at the natural habitat. I found this fascinating. Such a small region of the world they existed. That always blows my mind. It's just like, wow. And obviously, how are they going to make it off the island? But, you know, sometimes we've interfered and brought animals around, right? And it's just interesting to me that they just nowhere else. So continents, Asia, Indonesia specifically, they don't require too much land. I think we've got way more than enough land for them. 290 meters squared is all they need. No climbing, no water, though for drinking, and no deep water requirements though. 13 to 42 degrees Celsius. Now this zoo from our previous kind of mini series is in North America, so it's slightly colder, so we might need to put down some heaters and stuff depending on how long today's kind of session goes for. We might need to put down some heaters to keep them happy. And the thing I'm a little concerned about is the boundary requirement, because we've kind of used a natural boundary and I don't know if it's going to work out, so we might need to go in there and put in like an actual physical boundary to prevent them. I'm hoping the vegetation holds them in a little bit, but it might not happen. Species data, let's see. So group size, excluding juveniles, is 1 to 5, up to 1 male, up to 4 females. Male bachelor group size, 1. Wow, completely solitude, eh? And the female bachelor group size is 1 to 4. Dominance. Males fight for the right to mate. Females have rank in groups based on age. Interesting. They are promiscuous. Their relation with humans is confident, but guests cannot enter the habitat. Gee, I wonder why. Size, 41.2 inches long for males, 39.6 for females. Life expectancy is 18 years across the board, and weight is 187 pounds for males and 135.3 pounds for females. Again, these are averages, I assume. Sexual maturity is at 2 years. Sterility is at death. Always helps, I suppose. Though it means you can't rehome them if you need to. Number of offspring per mating event is 1 to 2. Incubation gestation is 5 months. Interbirth is 12 months. And reproduction in captivity is easy. So if we're lucky today, we'll be seeing some baby babirusa. Say that 5 times real fast. Baby babirusas. Say that 10 times real fast. That'll be a challenge. Social needs. Babirusa females tend to live in small groups with their offspring. Babirusa males are solitary. Yeah, you don't say. Completely solitary. Females live in groups that are often made up of sisters and their offspring under 2 years old. Mature males live alone, but will come alongside female groups in the mating season. During the mating season, when the females are in, this word always throws me off, estrus, males will track them from the scent of their urine and follow them once located. If 2 males locate the same female, they may engage in a dominance display in order to win the rights to mate. They will vocalize, charge at each other. If neither concedes, fight by standing on their hind legs and boxing with their front legs. Usually the larger male with the longer teeth will win. That is not how I would expect these guys to tussle. You know, I would expect a lot more like tusk aggression, but they're fighting like kangaroos, I guess. Very similar to that. Interesting. Also, to use the word boxing just immediately makes me think of kangaroos. Very interesting. Okay. After a pregnancy of 150 to 164 days, the female will give birth to 1 to 2 piglets. Piglets can eat solid food from 3 to 10 days after birth and will be fully weaned by 6 to 8 months old, or earlier if their mother falls pregnant again. Oh, okay. Huh, yeah, makes sense. Male young leave their mother's group at 1 year old and will become solitary. Females may remain with their mother's group or leave to start their own natal group. I'm very curious as to what determines whether they stay or they leave and create their own group. Like, there's got to be a determining factor, and is it just over population? Like, if there's too many of them, if you're the part of a new litter and you would push them over this limit, do you decide to separate instead, or are there other factors that come into play as well? But nonetheless, man, very, very, very interesting. There was something here that noted that surprised me in particular. Oh, no, sorry. It's just that I wasn't expecting the term piglet to come up over here. But I guess, yeah, if they're just pigs, if they're just a type of pig, then why not? I feel like we could come up with a better name for baby Babirusas. Like, you just call them Babirusas, right? Come on. The name's right there. The name is right there. Diet is all... I mean, this is, again, we're in sandbox mode, so everything's unlocked. So we have everything available. In terms of habitat enrichment items... Ooh... These are new. Nice. All right. I'm very happy to see some new stuff over here. At least I don't recall ever seeing the Scratching Tree Scots Pine or the Scratching Tree Tamarind anywhere else. These are all familiar, from the cardboard box to gift box, sprinkler, wind chimes, herb scent marker, rubbing pillow. Yeah, these are all familiar. Mud bath. How am I not surprised? But these are new for sure. Cool. Okay. Fun fact number 1. Babirusa means pig deer in Malay. Now, that is a excellent name. Fun fact number 2, Babirusas have a 2-chambered stomach, more like that of sheep than of other pigs. Huh. I wonder why. I wish that went a little bit deeper into explaining why are they different from their, sort of evolutionary counterparts, and B, what do they eat that requires this of them? What part of the process makes this important for? Like, why is it important for them to have 2-chambered stomachs? Anyway, moving on. Fun fact number 3. I mean, apart from like standard reasons, like they've evolved uniquely, right? Like that's what makes it interesting for me. That's what makes me curious. I'm gonna look that up afterwards. Fun fact number 3: the male Babirusa's tusks continue to grow throughout his life and can even grow into the skull. You know what? No, I do know about this animal. I just never knew its name. I'm familiar with fun fact number 3, and I guess the name just never, like, clicked in my head. Now, it's possible that other boars and boar-like animals have similar things, and I'm mixing them up. But now that I read that fact, this is starting to feel a little bit more familiar. Okay, I don't know. My mind could just be playing tricks on me, but anyway. Fun fact number 4. Also, sorry, quick comment. That's terrifying. Can you imagine? Like, I imagine they try to, chisel it down and stuff by like scratching it against rocks and trees and stuff. Like, do you know that your imminent doom is coming towards you? That you're growing your own death? Like, do they do something to counteract that? I imagine. Babirusas are missing a bone in the snout that other pigs have, so they do not engage in rooting behavior typical of pigs. Oh, interesting. Okay. They've between the stomach and... Fun fact number 5, Babirusas are excellent swimmers. It is thought that they are found across various Indonesian islands because they swam to them. Really? Okay, well, hold on a second. So, I assume there's like a couple of... more than just... it's not just like 3 islands or whatever this looks like over here. I guess, yeah, they maybe swam around. Then why didn't they... yeah, okay. Love that it's like... it's thought that, right? It is thought that they are found across... How well grounded is this theory, I guess, to include it as a fact, right? Interesting, though. So these are some good fun facts. I've been lately, I mean, if you're familiar with the channel, you'll know this already, but if you're new to the channel, if this is your first time watching, maybe consider subscribing. I do a lot of Planet Zoo stuff, and I'm exploring similar kinds of games on the channel as well. But that aside, the call to subscribe and like and comment and all that stuff aside, I've been kind of like looking at fun facts and like kind of in some ways like critiquing or providing feedback to like how fun a fun fact is or isn't. I quite like these fun facts. These are good fun facts, especially number one. I like a good bit of like etymology or just linguistics. So yeah, these are pretty good. These are pretty good. Interspecies enrichment, there is none that we know of, none that we have access to. Let's go ahead and get these animals in here. All right, I'm actually quite excited. I don't, you know what, I couldn't tell you. Oh, it's so cute. I couldn't tell you if I have heard of them before or not. My mind is like, really, I was very surprised when I was like, I've not heard of this animal. Okay, animal market. Let's go ahead and get ourselves the Babirusa. Cool. And then I'd love to hear, by the way, your thoughts on what animal you'd like to see added next. Can we Babirusa? Oh, don't tell me you're not going to filter for me. This is the animal market. Ah, there we go. I just have to do a little switch back and forth. But yeah, as I was saying, I'd love to hear what animal you would maybe like to see next from this DLC. It will be releasing sort of 2 days from when this episode releases. Again, those who are familiar with my schedule will know what I'm talking about. Those who are unfamiliar, I basically, it's every other day that I release Planet Zoo. Typically my franchise, but right now it's we're taking some time to do the this DLC. But I would love to hear what animal you would like to see next, and then I'll kind of make a decision either based on that, or I have an animal in mind, and I think some of you will be able to guess which animal I have in mind. But I just want to see what folks think and how folks are leaning right now, and I'll maybe make a decision based on that instead. All right, let's go ahead and get Agus and Betari. They're like decent genes, I suppose. Adopt you and adopt you as well. Waiting in the trade center. I guess the right thing to do is to send you over to I do have a quarantine. Let's go ahead and send them over to quarantine. Let the quarantine get done, and then we'll pop them back in. Now I'm actually quite excited to see. Let's go ahead and unpause. Quite excited to see these new toys. Habitat Babirusa. Oh, you know what? I need to build them a better hard shelter, don't I? Like, this isn't going to be enough space for them. I'm not sure exactly how large they are, but I was hoping this would work. I guess we'll find out. This might be a little bit, this might not be enough space. Pop some of these down nonetheless. There we go. But where is their enrichment item? I also want to see if they're able to actually get in here. I'm hoping they're able to climb down on this side to drink the water from over here. But we'll see if we need to add a pipe or something for them instead. All right, scratching trees, Scott's pine. It's just a tree. But it's set separately so they know to interact with it, I suppose. Why don't we go ahead and put you down, like, over here, I suppose? And let's get the tamarind down on this side. Ah, tamarinds normally have those, like, little orange elements. Like my favorite part of the tamarind. Oh, kind of wish we had that over here. Yeah, so interesting. Okay, fair enough. I'm curious to see the animations and stuff. Quite excited already for this DLC. Food tray. Let's see. Oh yeah, they use these. The large one down over here is what I was thinking when I was laying the space out. Yeah, they won't be able to access from over here, but my hope is that they'll do food on this side and water on this side. Let's go ahead and smooth the terrain a little bit. And actually, while I'm over here, just thought, why not show you guys something really exciting. It's not a part of the DLC per se, but it's with the free updates, I'm pretty sure. And that is the water. You can now select water, and you might have seen this during the time-lapse as well, and you can actually adjust quite a few things with regards to its color. You have presets that you can use: clean water, dirty water, Everglade, and Amazon. So some good color variety there. But we're going to go with clean water that will reduce the transparency a bit. We could actually make it completely transparent. I'm not necessarily a big fan of how that looks. Let's go ahead and reduce the transparency a bit. And yeah, that works nicely. Yeah, I like that they added these. Oh, interesting. Huh, okay. I like that they added this. This is nice customization. It's a welcome update. Seriously injured? What? We just adopted you. Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm glad I took them to quarantine right off the bat then. But yeah, this is a nice touch. It's nice to be able to customize our water and whatnot, and you know, just visually have a bit more of an impact on the spaces. On the topic of visual impact, by the way, I have some plans for for the new billboards, and I might be doing a bit of a special video on that topic in the very near future. So keep an eye out for that as well. But they're an interesting beast, and I've been excited for them ever since they first mentioned them. So that's another thing that I'll be trying to cover separately from just the animals in general. That's another thing I'll be trying to cover. And again, that's also a part of the where are my animals? That's also a part of the free update as opposed to the DLC. So I'm going to try and keep it separate from this. So Agus and Bethari, let's go ahead and... What are you... Why are these guys... Okay, move you in here. I guess our other one is currently with the vet and being pulled back right now. That's what it looks like. All right, fair enough, fair enough. Fair enough. It's weird, just like a serious injury discovered right off the bat. I don't think I've had that happen to me previously. In transit, okay, and Bethari. There we go, yeah. I'm guessing that's what happened there. Fair enough. Guys, over here. Feeding station cannot be reached. That's down over here. Okay, let's get rid of this one. It's one of the older ones from a previous DLC when we were running some experiments. Alright, up you come. And let's check these guys out. Quite excited. I want to see as well if they're able to escape right off the bat or anything like that. How big are you? Okay, yeah, not too big. About the size that I'd anticipated. Fair enough. Such an interesting looking creature. Oh my god, look at that, all scratched up over here. Well, they can definitely get down here. And if they like swimming, can they actually swim across? Oh, you know what? I didn't even realize that. So let's go ahead and take a look at their habitat here. They can, in fact, swim. They can use the bridge as well, which is great. They do have some escape routes available. Okay, fair enough. Not all the way around, though. So it means that there are just a couple of spots where they might escape from. So that's actually not too bad in terms of how to fix it. What we'll do right now is we'll just put down a bit more vegetation. Now again, if this was my like franchise mode playthrough, I'd be a bit more particular about the results here and the approach over here. But that's kind of why I like doing this as a side mini series, because it allows me to be a bit more flexible, if you will. It lets me be a bit more loosey-goosey. Lets me be a bit more a little less hard on myself. Let's put it that way. I think that should help us out over here. They are very interesting looking, aren't they? Now, what do you think about the space overall? You do not like the terrain at all. There's way too much long grass. You would like a bit more soil and a bit more sand. Okay, excellent. That actually works out quite nicely. So why don't we go ahead and paint down some sand. Let's unpause. Let's have them move around, and maybe if they move, well, like they'll have a higher chance of having some offspring if we let them kind of like move around a bit more and stuff, right? Go ahead and do that. Want some more soil as well. That makes sense. I should have seen that coming. Go ahead and put the sides a bit over here. Trying to keep these guys on camera. And we would have gotten a warning that our staff can't reach the feeding station if that was the case, but it seems as though they can, so that's excellent. Soil up there. We need a lot of soil, eh? Go up over here. That's fair. I'm not a big fan of the long grass either. Making your way across, buddy? What you up to? Getting a lot of water out of this mossy rock, huh? I think it's interacting with the water underneath. Go ahead and get some more of the soil in here. They are okay with short grass. Okay, that's good. But they need a lot of soil, eh? They need a lot of soil. Almost done. A bit more here. Wow, yeah, thanks. Did not see that coming, and I really should have. Alright, and short grass for where there is still some tall grass. Corner over here. Long grass, I should say. Barely see it because of all the vegetation and decorative elements. A lot of stuff at the edges over here as well, right? Like, I think that's probably where the vast majority of it actually is. Go ahead. Flatten all this. Well, flatten, you know what I mean. Mow all this, I suppose. And we'll come back and add some soil again. There we go, a bit more. Come on. I wish, I don't believe they've added a, yeah. Wish you could see what kind of thing was painted down. It would like, you know, go through the all the vegetation and stuff so I could actually see what's going on. But okay, that looks like we've done our job there. Go ahead and switch back to soil. Add some more soil over here. A lot more soil, actually. And we've lost some sand, too. Not a problem. A little bit of terraforming. All part of the experience. Look at him run. There we go. And some more sand. Just on this side over here. A sandy beach. There we go. Beautiful. Pleased. Plenty of space. More than enough room. I had a feeling I was way over, but that's kind of standard. They actually have enough hard shelter down here, so that's great to see. And, ooh, too many trees. Now, is it too many to the point that it's actually upsetting them? This is another thing. This is quite a good way for me to kind of learn what the animals are into or not into before I dive into the franchise mode. So too many trees. Okay, fair enough. I would expect them to like more densely forested areas. It's not enough to bother them. Not to the point that they're very upset about the space, but it's not ideal for them. That's good to know. Are you playing with a scratching tree? What are you up to? They have tiny little... Those kind of tusks, or are they just like kind of like overgrown teeth? They're quite cute, actually. I would love to see a baby, a Babirusa. I'm sticking with that. You know what? I'm sticking with that. Oh, what are you up to? Why are you? You're like a mile above the water here. Also, I want to check my waterfalls. Yeah, this one's looking all right. What about on the other side? I don't have any bottom effects on the other side. I want to go ahead and just very quickly, just for posterity, just to have it done. Waterfall, bottom, no ATMs, that's okay. There we go. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I quite like this. This guy's just staying here. He's like not interested in going, like pick a side. Oh, did you see that? Just dove off of there. All right, I was mistaken. I'm like, they can't get in there from up over here. I was very mistaken. They clearly love swimming. They definitely traverse the waters. There we go. Light as a feather walking on those lily pads. Trying to keep an eye on Buddy in the background there as well. Is he about to dive in? Oh, I think he is. Come on, Buddy. You know you want to. Do it. Do it. Yes. Yes. They're actually legitimately. This doesn't look like a. They're like legitimately standing on the lily pads, and then they're walking off and diving in. In you go. There we go. Look at those tusks, though. Like this guy. Like look at that. He's like it's almost straight through his skull. It's terrifying. Up you go, buddy. That's good. By the way, again, just to clarify, I'm not too concerned about education boards and donation bins and stuff like that. This is a very chill zoo. It is nice to see guests coming up over here, though. Well, are you unable to see the animal? Are you unable to see this glorious animal down over here? They look confused. The scenery is epic. All right. Now the super dry litter is disgusting. Maybe I should take care of the guests a bit more. Just I want to see babies. Give me an adorable Babirusa. Yeah, interesting to know about the coverage. Enrichment is a little low. Let's go ahead and fix that because this is about the animals. That's the thing about the sandbox. It's very much about the animals and their spaces. Enrichment. Habitat. Babirusa. Let's go ahead and take a look at enrichment items. Toys specifically. We can give them a rubbing pillar. Oh! Ah, of course. Just missed it. Alright, we gotta keep an eye on these. Gotta keep an eye on them using these scratching trees. I want to catch some of the interesting animations, like the mating animation and stuff like that. Let's get a sprinkler down, perhaps. Can't go wrong with a sprinkler, right? Okay, don't get too adventurous here, buddy. At the edge of the world. I really quite like the folklore I was touching on during the time lapse, and I find it fascinating that there's so much overlap. Sometimes geographically it makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't, and this is a case where both apply. Still not good enough. What's wrong here? Oh, no food enrichment. Right, of course. The trees are not food enrichment, of course. Habitat, food enrichment. A small barrel feeder, I suppose. Put it on this side. We've got regular feeding on this side and the enrichment on the other side. Yeah, this is great actually. The crowds are coming through. They seem to be enjoying our little bridge over here quite nicely. That's good. And they're calling the scenery epic, so can't complain about that. Why? How is this already down here? Alright, you know what? Maybe something that rolls isn't the best idea. Let's go ahead and put down a fruit spike tree over here. Don't like the way it modified the terrain over there. Let's put one down over here as well. Not a fan of that. Is one enough is the question. Yeah, one seems to be enough. I wonder if we can't smooth this out a bit more or pull it up a bit further. That shape back. There we go. Stuff, good stuff. Relatively painless process getting them in here. I could get some more females as well, actually, just to, because we can have up to, what, 4 females it was, right? 1 to 4 boys. Sorry, 1 male, 4 females. Yeah, I want to get some more females in here then. Animal trading, animal market, Leggy and Utama. Well, adopt them both. Why not? Go ahead over to our animals, Leggy and Utama. Move you to quarantine first. Again, if there's a big injury or something, I'd rather be found right away. I also quite, actually, you know what, now that we have the animals in here, it's so strange to me because, like, when I'm time-lapsing, obviously, I record it all in regular speed and it's played back at double speed, so I see all these views and I go like, oh yeah, I'm pretty pleased with these. Just have to remind myself, it's like, right, I should show these views as well in real time for all of y'all. But yeah, I mean, okay, so I like the whole, like, massive set of steps thing. It feels very kind of fitting for the region. It's a common motif, let's call it. But yeah, you get up the stairs, you have this, like, boat-like roof going on, which again is a direct reference and an inspiration, or inspired by a direct reference, I suppose. You get up top over here for, you know, the first time in a long time I've actually built something to prevent kids from just diving in and becoming a free meal. And yeah, I just love how dense it looks from this angle, actually. Like, it looks proper dense. On this side, it's a little bit lighter, but I think as we go on with the DLC, we'll add more on that side, and it'll get a bit more coverage. But from up over here, I quite like the view. And I think you get a pretty good view of the animals as well. Oh, look at that. Ah, interesting. Burrowing on the land, on the soil, actually generates, like, dirt particles, as opposed to over the bridge where we get water, so it's almost like the game thinks it's interacting with, like, really shallow water, maybe? I think this is quite a good view, actually. What are they up to? Yeah, quite pleased with the angle over here. Quite pleased with this overall structure in general. A little bit of overgrowth and stuff coming through as well, just to make it feel a bit more, you know, untamed, if you will, for lack of a better word. Quite like this visual as well, with a waterfall. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that, actually. Seeing it in, like, motion and everything, I'm very pleased with that. Also a big fan of this, like, vibrant red on the lipstick palm tree. Very, very nice vibrant red. We also have the waterfall over here, which, yeah, quite pleased with that. I really like this new waterfall piece that came with the aquatic DLC. It really helps bring some of these spaces to life. You get, whoop, there you go again. That is 100% intentional. Where are my... You two. Move you guys back in here as well. Habitat 6. Very well. It also fits in quite nicely. I mean, again, this is the more tropical of areas in this zoo. As you can see, some of these areas are not so tropical, but yeah, it actually fits in quite nicely. And as we expand to explore this DLC, I was actually wondering, like, do I expand this side zoo of ours, or do I start a new one completely? And I figure, why don't we just expand this one, get more action in here, and just see what kind of comes of it, see what evolves, I suppose. And what I might want to do is, I might want to actually, just for the visual element, just put down a little bit more wood over there. And maybe down over here as well. There we go. This feels like it's actually kind of blocked off, and it wouldn't dive off of a waterfall or anything, so that feels fine. Ooh, I imagine they're smart enough to know not to jump off there. Animals typically are. Alright, a nice crowded space now. I would really like to see a baby. Again, if we don't see a baby today, we'll see one in one of the upcoming episodes, obviously, as we... look at them run. One of the upcoming episodes as we add some of the other animals again, because we'll be doing it in the same space. It gives us that benefit as well, where we'll be able to get new... there's more potential for babies of all of the species, and we'll be able to hang out with them and check them out. Funny how all the females kind of congregated at first. Like ran away from the male and just congregated instead. Are you gonna... Oh, we actually need more enrichment. I'm assuming it's food, eh? Yeah, I had a feeling. When you add more animals, you need more enrichment items. I'm gonna go ahead and put you down over here somewhere. We've already kind of modified the train. Don't know if that would be enough or if we need another one. In the water there, you tell me. Yeah, that looks good. I wonder how specific they got with the swimming animations, actually. Look at the detail on the skin here. Absolutely ridiculous. And like the wrinkles and stuff, very well done. Very, very impressed by the by these models. I mean, honestly, the level of detail on these animals have, since day 0 with Planet Zoo, have been absolutely impressive. So it's one of my, like... Look at how that skin wrinkles and stuff, you know? Like, I tend to do a lot of, like, funky stuff with, like, terrain and whatnot, which can force the game into circumstances that it's not expecting. But, oh, they're coming for food. Gotcha. But aside from when the game is dealing with that, I'm quite impressed by how, like, the animations work and how things wrinkle and flex and move and whatnot. A little late to the meal over here. Or are you gonna just settle for some fruit instead? Honestly, if I had to pick, I'd go with the fruit. That watermelon's looking real tasty right now. There we go. Clever girl. You gotta keep an eye out for those scratching trees as well, right? We kind of saw one being used earlier on the other side momentarily. Guests seem to be having a good time over here. Like, there's a decent crowd, considering all things considered. Why are you able to walk here? Is it the lily pads, or is it because of the waterfall thing? No, the waterfall thing ends over here. I guess it is the lily pads. I guess 150 or whatever pounds isn't really all that much. Ooh, offspring due March. Nice! Of this year. Oh, beautiful. Glad I checked. Alright, so we'll definitely get those babies in. Not to baby rush. Babirusa. Again, I have no idea how to pronounce the name. That might have been something I should have looked up. My apologies. Just so excited to dive in. Having a good time, buddy? I especially like when the animals are like wet, when they've like been for a swim and they're wet, and they have that shine to them. It's quite a sight. Oh, look at that, taking a little lie down. That was a short lie down. Like barely a nap. I am glad though that they're satisfied with the hard shelter. Could actually like cover this and stuff now that I know that it exists. There we go. Basking in the sun a little bit. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Just gorgeous. Oh, are you kidding me? Don't tell me I'm the only one who found that adorable. The yawn, the lie down, the ear wiggles. The breathing. The nose wiggles. And like the slight smile. I mean, it's probably not a smile, but it feels like a little upturn at the edge over here. Oh, that's amazing. Over here, a different lie down animation. Looks like a bit more of a sideways lean on this one. Or are they the same and I'm just seeing them from different angles? Yeah, I'm just seeing them from different angles. Look at that. That symmetry, though. Kind of cute. Oh, that's great. It is March. Offspring should be imminent now. I can't imagine how cute the babies are. Got to have offspring. Yeah, I guess you just gotta wake up and then have some babies. Oh, there's the wake up. There we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Looking for like some solid ground or something first. It's just like stalking this animal. Waiting for it to have children. Come on. Any second now. They're a fun animal. They're a very unfamiliar one, that's for sure. Like I said, like at the beginning of this session, maybe even at the time lapse. Oh, birth-giving pose. I always love learning about. Yeah, this is a very interesting look. That's a wrinkly baby. Little tippy taps there. What we're looking at over here. Decent jeans. They look fairly different actually from like the adults. I don't know if that's like a coat thing. Where are we? Okay, brown, gray, hairless skin as opposed to brown, pink, hairless skin. Okay, gotcha. It is a coat thing then. Had some recessive genes. Brown, pink, hairless skin. Fair enough. That might be where they came from. Well, no, that's another female. Whoops. Okay, that's just way too cute, man. Where are you actually going, bud? Oh, and can you escape? Hang on a second. This is something I always... Yeah, you got a couple escape routes, don't you? We'll have to sort that out. Otherwise, we'll be dealing with the escape messages constantly. Couple of spots here and there. Get the trees to block them off a bit more. Or we could just put down a barrier. Maybe I'll just put down a barrier at some point. Or we're almost definitely going to need to prevent them from jumping off, especially if they have a lot of offspring while we're doing the other animals and whatnot. I'll stay afloat over here. I do wish... Ooh, this has not been cleaned up. Why has this not been cleaned up? Nasty. I wish we'd seen a bit more use of scratching post. Again, we kind of saw that one time. They are able to reach it. Able to reach this one as well. Guess it's not like a top thing to do. Running around seems to be the preferred activity. Running around and digging. Got an animal passed away. Antonio, one of our giant otters. They're just dead in the water. Literally dead in the water. How are these spaces doing? This place is super crowded. I'm actually quite pleased with this space as well. One of my favorite spaces from the last time we were at the zoo. Dropping off some food. These guys are, yeah, it looks like oh, this is amazing. Hanging out on the lily pads. It does look like we're not gonna have that luck that I was hoping for to catch the use of the scratching trees. You want to call them scratching posts. They're definitely interesting animals. Look at that. Majestic. Walking past his meal over here. He had his fruits. Oh, no, looks like he's still hungry. Definitely still hungry. Fun to see the animations. They put so much work into these animations. It's fun to see them. I do wonder the level of research, the method of research as well. This came out of nowhere, ran across the food and everything. Well, these guys seem to be having a good time. Are you seriously in one and out the other right now? That is what you're doing, isn't it? Oh my god. Of course it is. Of course it is. Folks, That sly look and that sly act is the note upon which we're going to actually call this session. Hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed exploring the first of the many, many DLC animals that we'll be exploring. Again, just as a reminder, if you would like to pick the DLC up for yourself, if you do so at the link I've included in the description and pinned comment down below, you'd be supporting the channel as you pick the DLC up. You can get a bunch of games at that link as well, actually, so if any of those pique your interest, then you can maybe, again, if you feel like supporting the channel while you pick up a game, you can consider doing that. It would be greatly appreciated, but of course, not an obligation at all. I just thought I'd mention that on the way out. I know I mentioned it at the beginning of the time lapse as well, probably, but just thought I'd just a little reminder if you are interested. There are quite a few animals to look at. I'm really excited to explore all of them. I'm excited to explore these the overall aesthetic of their general geographical regions and stuff as well. I think it's gonna be a very good time. And as always, I mean, let me know what y'all thought. If you had a good time, if you'd like to give me some feedback. Again, the reason why we're taking this approach to the DLC is because of feedback I received the last time I did this for DLC, and the feedback I received on the lead up to the release of this DLC. So, like I say always, I read all the comments. It does make a very big difference. I do appreciate if you would leave a like as well if you had a good time, because it lets me know that people are, in fact, liking what I'm up to. All that stuff really helps me make decisions for the channel. Man, I'm actually really quite pleased with how this space looks and works. I'm very pleased with the overall feel of this, the overall vibe, and just this view, honestly. With the waterfall as well. It's got that postcard vibe, doesn't it? I like it. I'm not often one to be extremely satisfied with my own work. Again, those of you that follow the channel will know, but quite pleased. Folks, hope you had a good time. As always, if you did, as I was saying earlier, you know what to do. Let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. Makes a massive difference, makes a huge difference, and I quite appreciate it. As always as well, of course, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who have been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.